4 years ago, we predicted the renaissance of the 2011 platform, and Staccato, formerly STI, were one of the OGs, one of the original patent holders. Since that patent has ran out, there's been a whole lot of other people that entered the market for 2011s. So I'm here with Paul, and he's going to explain what they're doing in order to keep ahead of the pack.
Yeah, so Staccato, obviously, as you referenced here, we are really moving the needle relative to the 2011, and so much of this it's really about serving our core customer. Our core customers really, they've asked us to design products to their needs, and they came to us with some specific requirements. What if you could do this kind of questions? And so we really engineered the product around those requirements, and that first piece of that was obviously the Glock Pattern Magazine component. Everybody knows kind of the current status of the 2011 magazine. We have iterated the 2011 magazine, and we have perfected the 2011 magazine as it stands today. But it was always inherently a 45 caliber magazine.
Bottom line, it was designed around a 45 SCP.
It's just what it is. And I will say, we have many law enforcement agencies in the country today running those magazines every single day, and it's a great magazine, great product. There's another kind of subset of users that has a even further requirement in some ways. That just serves a little bit more purpose relative to that magazine aspect. And so that's really where we leaned into the Glock Magazine Compatibility. That magazine gives us some things that we can do in this product. And what this isn't just kind of putting a magazine in a pistol. This is designing the pistol around the magazine. So what we've done really at a baseline level is re-engineer the 2011 platform around the Glock magazine. And in the process of doing that, we had a lot of asks over the last 5-6 years from law enforcement, from other agencies and other use cases, asking for other things that the 2011 never did. So it's the ambidextrous aspects, it's some improved reliability in certain environments, and it's really kind of opening the scope of the 2011 in some ways from really what was the STI classic competition pistol into really what is these duty use cases in so many ways. So
take us through the gun right now, and like stem to stern, what are the features?
Sure, yeah. So we'll kind of go tip to tail here. So at the end of the day, this is the P4.5. We have the P4, basically a 4.5-inch pistol and a 4-inch pistol. At the end of the day, it's kind of a new pistol, essentially tip to tail. So there's about it's a handful of parts that are still the same parts that we've used in our pistols for a long time. But for example, not a lot of parts and pieces here are shared. This is almost an entirely new platform for us. So with the P4.5, we have a sight block pistol here. So this is a new thing for us. It is a way to manage recoil in a little bit better performance aspects.
Plus the front sight doesn't reciprocate.
Exactly. There's a piece relative to front sight reciprocation that goes to some of the legacy components, but really it's an optimization game for us. It's about getting all the mass as far forward as we can to try to soften that recoil as much as possible. There's a downstream benefit to that though as well, and that is that this is still a 4-inch operating system relative to the slide mass and the recoil system. So that means we get the slide velocity of a 4-inch pistol, which gains us some reliability relative to the system, but we're getting the ballistics of a 4.5-inch pistol. So it's really, what I would best baseline kind of comparison aspect is this is kind of like shooting an XL. If you're familiar with the recoil impulse of the XL, but it cycles like a C2, so you're getting that faster recoil impulse. It tracks quicker onto target, it settles a little bit faster, but you're still maintaining that recoil impulse at the same kind of level that the XL does. New recoil system for us, so it is a completely new recoil system. That is a flat wire recoil system, fully captive, but we've stolen some technology for some previous pistol designs, and so we've buffered this system, not dissimilar from what H&K was doing back in the day with the USP platform and some of those. So there's a buffer system inside of here that really helps keep that muzzle down under recoil. A little bit back further, fully ambidextrous. So that's a big change, obviously coming from that law enforcement use case and a lot of contexts, really needing that ability for the left-handed user. So obviously it gains on the right-hand shooter as well. So there's things you can do with your trigger finger now that you couldn't do. But fully ambidextrous, still the same takedown that you would expect with the 2011, pop the slide stop out and you're taking it down. That's a new feature for us. Swappable mag catch. So the mag catch is just a simple keyed thing. It is a user level. It's not armor level. So you just simply press and turn, flip it around, pop it back in.
You don't shear the tab off like on a 1911.
Yeah, exactly. It's similar to that, but it's been improved. So a little bit simpler. But keep it on the top end here. So new host optic system for us. So this is a new direct mount optic system, obviously trying to learn from all of the things that we know relative to optic systems over time. This is a direct mount. So the optic screws are the screws that hold it down. There's a spacer plate that lives underneath the optic. And so it's adapting to each of the footprints for the individual optics,
Okay.
but it is still a direct mount, meaning the screws for the optic are what's retaining it to the slide. There's no second set of screws, asterisk, except on an acro. Obviously on an acro, you've got a cross bolt system, you have to bolt it down, that's just how it mechanically has to function. So we did move the rear sight in front. This is really primarily designed to be an optic ready pistol. That's just kind of what its intent and purpose is. So we moved the optic up front. That allows us with things like the HD and the SRO to slide those optics back as far as we can, keeping them more protected. The other downstream benefit here by putting the optic in front is it does act as a bit of a debris guard and kind of brass deflector. So it does keep the lens of the optic cleaner, dramatically cleaner over a longer time period.
Gotcha.
So that's a downstream gain. Same thumb safeties that you'd expect. The one counterpoint or difference here is that they're retained. So this is not a traditional 1911, 2011 thumb safety. These are not swappable with anything else on the market. This is a retained thumb safety, and that's going to some of the more extreme testing that we've been through. The thumb safeties on a standard design will at some point be disrupted under drop testing and under more extreme environments. So we have retained those thumb safeties with the detent itself, so they're actually captive in that system. That's part of about 6 different patents that are pending on this platform.
And no grip safety.
And no grip safety. So we deleted the grip safety. It's a big piece. Obviously, this goes back to those asks that we get consistently. Deleting the grip safety was a main component here. We didn't just delete the grip safety though. We kind of completely re-engineered the back end of this gun. So the back end of the gun has been reshaped. We spent a considerable amount of time on the ergonomics of this pistol. And so if you look at the back end of this pistol, it's not the same 2011 that you've seen for a long time. We spend a tremendous amount of time in the machine. These are laborsome frames to manufacture because we really sculpt and scallop the back end of this frame to make it far more ergonomic than the traditional design. What that allows us basically is to also pull the grip higher. So what we've done basically is every pistol I've ever owned, what are the 2 places you play with it, right? You massage right in here and you massage right there, right? So what we did was basically do that for you. So we pulled the finger up as high as we can. That's a downstream benefit of going to the Glock Pattern Magazine. The mag catch location is higher than the 2011 style mag catch. So that allowed us then to bring this second finger higher on the pistol. And in turn, we also brought the back end of the grip safety up higher as well, effectively lowering the bore axis of the pistol. Obviously didn't change the bore axis. It's still a linked barrel. It's still a 2011 operating system, but we're just bringing the hand as high as we can get it relative to that. Shorter hammers because of that. So the hammer spur is actually slightly shortened, and the grip safety is, again, a captive different grip safety because of those changes.
So the 1911 style fire components of this, any of them, is that swappable from a 1911
Basically, the 2 components that you're going to be able to swap on this from a standard form factor perspective would be the sear spring and the sear itself, and the disconnector. Outside of that, the trigger bow, the trigger shoe are all proprietary to this. The mag catch is proprietary to this. The thumb safety, the hammer, that's all proprietary to this platform. The mainspring itself is proprietary. The individual components internal are somewhat shared, but the mainspring itself is different. So the mainspring loads from the bottom instead of from the top. That's a bit of a gain relative to the form factors that we're playing out here. And obviously the big change is feeding off the Glock magazine. We've seen a tremendous amount of downstream benefit and reliability because of that. Basically the nose pressure on the follower in a Glock magazine is a lot higher than the nose pressure on the follower in a 2011 pattern magazine. What that allowed us to do is put a spring under the slide stop. So what this is basically is we have a spring-loaded slide stop now.
And it's pressing down?
And that's pressing down. So that's biasing it down. What that downstream gain is then is going back to the reliability piece. The slide stop window is no longer a 1911 slide stop window. It is an asinine component to try to fit a square block of steel into a square hole that is, plus or minus a few thousandths over the size of the actual thing as that slide is cycling at the speed that it is. It's like, why the hell have we played this game for as long as we have? It's always been an issue. It's always been a concern. Why not make it better? So what this is really is we opened up the slide stop window. That gains us downstream reliability because you just have more time to catch that slide as it's cycling through. So as things get dirty and as things wear in, you've got more time to present that as the follower's coming up to present the slide stop and get a reliable lockback of this pistol. It's one of the fun games of the 1911, 2011 world is reliable lockback, and so that's been a main feature here. Obviously, same game as far as external extractor, which it's what we've been doing since the V3 pistols. And ergonomics, the thumb shelf on the frame is a new feature for us. So it is a completely new frame design. We have baked in basically a thumb shelf into the design. Again, kind of some more elaborate machining into the frame here. But what that really does is give you a very ergonomic grip on this pistol for kind of that thumbs forward design. I've noticed watching some guys shoot this, stand there and watch it shoot and it just bury their thumb on that thing and that gun just stays dead flat. It's really kind of fun to watch. This gun really does shoot at a high level. We've put this thing through the ringer. We've tested this at a level we've never tested products, as far as just to a more extreme environmental piece, to a more extreme round count component, to a more extreme level. This thing has passed, I think at this point, independent third-party testing has shot more than 100,000 rounds through this with not a single mechanical failure or issue. So we've got the data to say that this thing is reliable. We've got the data in the third-party environment to say that this thing is reliable. It's doing what we want it to do, and it's doing what our customers are asking it to do, which is the big game. Another new feature that we've added to this pistol is the firing pin block. That's a new change for us relative to this pistol. We've really taken the Series 80 design and just kind of improved it over time. Obviously, it works underneath the optic system. That's a bit of a change relative to the Series 80. One of the critical components for us was to make sure that Series 80 still produced a reliable pistol, but also the same trigger feel that Staccato is known for. You're familiar with the Staccato trigger.
Yeah, and I'm also familiar with Series 80 guns as well.
Exactly.
And the first thing that comes out is that little lever.
Exactly. It's always like, wow, I got to get rid of this crap. So there's two things. We have to ask ourselves the question, what was wrong with the Series 80, right? There were two use cases that were, a bit of a concern. One was I want a 2-pound trigger in my pistol, right? The competition style shooter, I want a lighter trigger pull.
Yep,
obviously, the Series 80 adds some force. So we've been tuning these at 4 to 4.5 pounds. That's the use case for this pistol. That's the environment for this pistol, and that's what this pistol is designed around, is a 4 to 4.5 pound trigger pull. Now, the second piece of that was, what was the other concern? It was like, you got a gritty trigger feel or some mechanical, issues with light strikes and things like that around the Series 80. We are EDMing these levers ourselves in-house. These levers are manufactured to extremely tight tolerances in the tenths of thousands. And then we polish them in-house as well. So we're ensuring the quality of those components ourselves because it is such a critical component to that. Now, you play that out, and what's the difference between the trigger pull of this pistol and our current stuff? And I'll let you play with it, but at the end of the day, we passed this trigger, this pistol to some of our legacy gunsmith guys that have been doing this for a very long time, and said, can you tell me that that's a Series 80 pistol? And they all basically said, what did you do different? And
no, there's no take, there's no additional
no
slop in there whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't have any grit, it doesn't have any extra, it's not sloppy. If you play the game, you can kind of feel it on take-up, but once you get to the wall, there's not a single functional difference in that pistol.
Yeah,
so
it really isn't.
It's giving us the functional benefit of a drop-safe component relative to that firing pin block. But at the end of the day, we're still getting our Staccato triggers in these things.
There you go. Well, I break shit.
Sure.
Can I get one?
Yeah, they are available on January 28th. It is ready to go. This thing it's a new day for Staccato, for sure.
So there you go. That's everything you wanted to know about the new Staccato. They're on the shelves at the end of the month. Go check them out.